processors sing their endless song, a low, mechanical hum that burrows into my bones. They breathe for the city now. I walk the perimeter of Vault C with my hand trailing along the condensation-slick walls, fingertips tracing rivulets of moisture that should not exist. This deep underground, everything is supposed to remain dry, sterile, controlled. Yet droplets form and fall like the vault itself is weeping, each one striking the floor with the delicate percussion of hammers on steel. 23 hours until deployment. That number pulses at me from every panel, displayed in sterile green digits, reflected in puddles that grow where the concrete dips. The countdown is alive, a heartbeat in code. It follows me no matter where I stand, whether I look at the monitors or at my own reflection in the processor's polished shells. I touch the containment matrix, cold metal beneath my palm, its surface webbed with frost. Strange. The environmental controls should prevent that kind of crystallization, but I tell myself it's within tolerance. The air smells sharp, medicinal, thick with the chemical stench of binding agents. My throat tastes metallic, though that might be nerves. The city sleeps above us, 200,000 lives balanced on numbers I no longer dare to second guess. Atmospheric readings nominal, I whisper. The words echo in the vault's ribcage, bouncing off reinforced walls painted the gray of old hospitals. A benediction, a scientist's prayer. I tap the console 3 times, left, center, right. Ritual older than reason. My grandmother's habit with her stove knobs, carried into my equations. Numbers pour across the screen, molecular binding coefficients, atmospheric dispersal rates, oxygen preservation ratios. Each line is flawless, a precise arrangement of logic that cannot lie. ACP-47. 18 months of sleepless nights and trembling calculations, distilled into a liquid salvation. The tanks gleam under fluorescent light, silver prayers lined up in military rows. My formula will hold the fallout at bay, bind radioactive isotopes in midair, neutralize the death drifting toward us on eastern winds. And yet my hand shakes when I set the stylus down. Finch's footsteps scrape against concrete before I hear his voice. Nervous man, nervous walk, always twitching at the edges of silence like he expects the walls themselves to whisper secrets. The humidity sensors are spiking again. He hugs his tablet against his chest, fogging it with shallow breaths. His hair clings damp to his forehead. Third time this shift. Vault C is reading 37% moisture. Sensor drift. That's the answer I give him, though the words feel brittle. These detectors have thrown false positives before deployment every single time. The stress rattles them. You'll see, the system compensates once the matrix is live. I don't look at him, don't need to. The numbers on my console glow steady. 0.74 sieverts binding coefficient, 2.3 millibars pressure differential, 96% sequestration efficiency. Elegant figures. Indisputable. But the formula is designed for optimal binding below 3% humidity. He presses, stylus jittering in his hand. 3 not. 30. I cut him off with more sharpness than I intend. My reflection glares back at me from the console, eyes bloodshot, jaw tight. 30% is well within range. That parameter was verified. Trust me. The lie tastes like copper. He hovers anyway. I can feel his doubt pressing against the back of my skull as I walk the line of processors. Each hum is steady, deep vibrations that vibrate in my ribs, grounding me in certainty. The condensation streaking their shells glistens in amber light, like veins of mercury under glass. When did the moisture start? Before I finalized ACP-47, I think. Or maybe after. The nights blurred together, each calculation scratching across my retinas until I saw equations etched into the walls when I closed my eyes. Did I ever verify the humidity tolerance in the final sequence? Or did I assume? Assumptions kill. Dr. Meridian told me that years ago. He died in Vault 3 when his purification design suffocated its own crew. They said system malfunction. But in the silence of my own insomnia, I know the truth. Pride. The countdown reads 22 hours, 59 minutes. Finch clears his throat. Dr. Voss. I snap my head toward him too fast, neck cracking. His face is pale, eyes wide behind fogged glasses. I realize my hands have been tapping the console again, left, center, right, harder each time, a nervous tick disguised as ritual. What is it? The sensors, he whispers. His tablet chirps in his hand. 41% humidity. Climbing. The number strikes me like a fist, but I force a measured smile. Then the compensators will engage. I turn away before he can see my jaw tremble. The vault hums around me, processors singing hymns in metallic voices. My grandmother's warning returns. Damp air carries sickness, child. Always keep things dry. I taste ammonia in the recycled air, stings sharp in the nostrils. I tell myself it's nothing. Stress. False readings. Ritual lies. Yet as I walk, the condensation drips faster, streaks fattening into rivulets that snake along the floor grooves, pulled toward drains never meant for this volume of water. The vault is crying, and I cannot tell if it weeps for the city or for me. The vault breathes heavier as the shift ticks on. I swear I can hear it now, the processors dragging in air, pushing it through chemical throats that never stop working. Their exhalations carry faint mist, curling white in the amber light like ghosts straining against glass. I sit at the primary console, stylus trembling in my hand, trying to ignore the sound of water dripping into floor channels. The humidity sensors scream from every auxiliary panel. 42%. 43. Finch's tablet keeps chirping like a wounded bird, and I feel my patience thinning with every beep. You're not logging the anomalies, Finch says, voice tight. They're not anomalies, I answer, eyes fixed on the scroll of data. They're noise, equipment stress, temporary fluctuations before stabilization. He hovers near my shoulder, nervous energy radiating into my skin. We can't dismiss them. The formula, your formula, is calibrated for low moisture environments. That's not an error I can pretend doesn't exist. I slam the stylus down harder than intended, its tip snapping against the console. You think I don't know the parameters? I wrote them. The words echo in the vault, louder than I meant. The processors answer with their steady hum, a reminder of who truly governs the atmosphere here. My breath fogs faintly in the air, a detail I choose not to acknowledge. Finch's reflection looms beside mine in the polished surface of the containment tank. He looks like a frightened child dressed in a lab coat, clutching his tablet like a shield. Dr. Voss, he says more softly, you told the Oversight Committee 30% was acceptable. But your preliminary notes, your handwriting, say 3. I've seen them. The accusation cuts sharper than his tone. For a moment, I picture the stacks of notes in my quarters, scribbles across thin paper blurred with sleepless handwriting. 3 or 30. Digits blur when the hand shakes, when the eyes water with exhaustion. You're misremembering, I say, though the words taste like ashes. 30 is correct. Always has been. The tests verified it. But did they? My memory fragments under its own weight. Days and nights bleeding into one another, numbers written and rewritten until they etched into the backs of my eyelids. Somewhere between fatigue and obsession, certainty blurred. Finch takes a step closer. Sir, if it is 3, not 30, then the vault conditions right now. Enough. I cut him off, the word ablaze in the damp air. My hand resumes its nervous ritual against the console, tap, 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 like punctuation for a prayer I no longer believe. I move to the observation window at the far end of the chamber. Reinforced glass separates us from the upper vaults, but I can still sense the city above. They sleep, unaware of the countdown humming beneath their feet, unaware of how much breath depends on fragile mathematics. The condensation streaks the window, distorting my reflection. I look older, distorted, my face cut into fragments by rivulets of water. Finch's footsteps approach cautiously behind me. Why not delay deployment, he suggests. Run another round of simulations, recheck the thresholds. Even 24 hours would give us clarity. 24 hours. The number tolls in my skull. Above ground, fallout clouds drift closer on prevailing winds. The city doesn't have 24 hours. The timetable is locked, I say. 200,000 lives are not suspended for doubt. My formula will hold. His silence weighs heavier than protest. Later, I walk the perimeter again, hand trailing over processor casings slick with moisture. The vault hums louder, vibrations thrumming in the soles of my boots. My grandmother's warning rattles in memory. Damp air carries sickness. I stop at the main containment tank. Frost spiderwebs its steel shell, each pattern unique, crystalline, spreading like veins across a body. I press my palm against it. The cold burns. Numbers dance in my vision, even when I close my eyes. Molecular chains binding radioactive isotopes, precise as architecture. Ratios balanced to decimals. Beautiful mathematics, designed to protect, not to fail. So why does every droplet falling from the ceiling sound like a countdown? Finch finds me there, my hand frozen to steel. He hesitates before speaking, like he fears the walls themselves might listen. I keep thinking about Dr. Meridian, he says. His voice trembles, almost reverent. Vault 3. The blackout. He trusted his own design too much. He believed in numbers that betrayed him. I ripped my hand free, skin burning with frostbite. Dr. Meridian was careless. His protocols lacked redundancy. Or maybe he believed what he wanted to believe, Finch murmurs. Maybe the math was right in the lab, but wrong in the world. His words hang in the recycled air, thick with chemical sting. I want to strike them down, but they echo my own doubts too closely. The countdown glows from every panel. 21 hours, 40 minutes. Deployment draws closer with every drip, every breath. Finch lingers by the console, eyes locked on the humidity readings as they climb past 45%. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. I return to the tanks, forcing my voice steady. ACD-47 will hold. It must. My reflection stares back, fragmented by condensation, eyes red-rimmed, mouth drawn. A stranger wearing my skin, whispering my reassurances like a man drowning in statistics. The vault weeps around me, and I cannot tell if it mourns the city or my hubris. The alarm wakes the vault before it wakes me. Not a siren, just the familiar harmonic thrum of the processors deepening, their pitch rising like a choir preparing to sing. The sound vibrates through concrete and steel, through the thin cot beneath my back. My eyes snap open to the green glow of the countdown projected on the ceiling. 6 hours. 6 hours until ACP-47 fills the sky. 6 hours until history remembers my name or erases it. I swing my legs to the floor. The concrete sweats. Condensation beads cling to my bare feet before I even find my boots. The vault feels alive, moist air pressing heavy against my skin. The taste of ammonia rides each breath, sharper now, cutting deeper into the throat. Finch is already awake, hunched over his tablet at the monitoring station. The glow paints his face sickly, hollows under his eyes carved deep as trenches. He doesn't look up when I enter. His fingers dance, stylus flicking, recording data in silence. Readings? I ask. Humidity's holding at 47%, he answers flatly. Climbing by the hour. I pause mid-lace. And oxygen? Stable. For now. His voice drips with accusation, though he doesn't lift his eyes. I force calm into my movements, tugging the laces too tight until the leather creaks. Then the system compensates, exactly as predicted. Finch's laugh is hollow. Predicted? You mean assumed. The words sting, though I pretend they don't. I cross to the containment tanks, palm brushing their silver skins. Frost glitters like a layer of stars across the surface. Inside, ACP-47 waits, glistening chemical salvation condensed into liquid form. My reflection swims across the metal, fractured by condensation. It's ready, I whisper to myself more than him. Years of calculations, months of sleepless nights, ready to shield us from fallout. Finch mutters something I almost don't catch, or to smother us in it. We run final diagnostics in silence. Data scrolls across the panels, precise as scripture. Pressure differentials, dispersal vectors, binding ratios, numbers I know like the lines of my own hand. Every value gleams green. Perfect symmetry, perfect execution, yet droplets splash against the console, dripping from pipes overhead. Each one interrupts my rhythm, a tiny percussion hammering doubt into my skull. Record the anomalies, Finch says again. He won't let it go. Their noise. Their warnings. His voice trembles, but his hands steady as he keys in his own logs. Meridian ignored warnings too. You remember how he ended. I grit my teeth. Meridian lacked the discipline I have. He flinched where I stand firm. That's why my formula will succeed where his failed. But even as I speak, my fingers resume their old ritual. Tap, tap, tap against the console. Left, center, right. A nervous tick masquerading as certainty. Hours bleed into one another. The vault grows hotter, damp air clinging to my skin, sweat mixing with chemical tang. Finch paces, muttering to himself, his tablet chirping warnings he no longer bothers to silence. I retreat to the observation window. Above us, the city begins to stir. Dawn light filters through reinforced glass, refracted into prismatic streaks by moisture gathering on the surface. I imagine families waking, children rubbing their eyes, mothers brewing thin coffee on ration stoves. They breathe easy, unaware of the danger crawling closer on the wind. Unaware of me. The countdown clicks to 3 hours. Finch corners me as I return to the console. His voice cracks under strain. Dr. Voss, we still have a chance. We can delay deployment. Just long enough to. No. But if the binding tolerance is really 3%, not 30. It isn't. You don't know that. I whirl on him, anger spilling through exhaustion. I know because I wrote the formula. My mind carried it, sleepless and starving, through every permutation, every vector, every chain reaction. I know because without it, we are dust in the wind. And I will not see this city choke on fallout because of hesitation. His silence is heavier than argument. He steps back, but his eyes linger, full of quiet accusation. Final preparations swallow the next 2 hours. The vault transforms into a machine of ritual. I initiate compressor sequences, each switch a heartbeat in the dark. Finch monitors dispersal vents, recording flow rates with silent efficiency. Together we circle the tanks, inspecting seals, verifying gauges, testing pumps. The condensation drips faster now, pooling in floor grooves. My boots splash faintly as I walk. With every step, I hear my grandmother again. Keep things dry, child. Her voice is almost drowned by the processor's growing chorus, but not quite. At 15 minutes, we stand side by side at the console. The final sequence glows across the screen. Dispersal authorization, target parameters, fail-safe protocols. My hands hover above the keys. Once this begins, Finch whispers, there's no reversal. There never was, I reply. He swallows hard, knuckles white on his tablet. His eyes beg me to reconsider, but his voice fails. I look at the tanks. ACP, 47 gleams like liquid mercury, salvation poised to flood the sky. For the briefest moment, doubt flickers, 3%, not 30. Did I transpose the digit in my exhaustion? Did sleepless nights corrupt precision into error? The processors hum louder, drowning thought. I press the first key. The vault answers with a roar. Pumps engage, pistons hammering, compressors screaming like mechanical lungs gasping for air. The tanks tremble, liquid salvation forced into pipes that stretch upward through the earth, toward sky and city. I hear the formula's breath as it rises. Finch's tablet chirps wildly, its alerts overlapping into one shrill scream. His face drains of color. Readings? I demand, my voice nearly lost in the din. He stares at the numbers with hollow eyes. Humidity, 50%. Rising. I turn back to the console where countdown digits vanish, replaced by glowing green confirmation. Deployment initiated. I tell myself the numbers will hold. I tell myself the formula is flawless. Yet my throat burns with every inhalation, air thick and sharp with chemical tang. My skin prickles, sweat beating faster. The vault feels less like salvation now, and more like a tomb sealing shut. Finch whispers, God help us. I answer, though my voice shakes. No. The formula will. The vault shudders as the dispersal vents open. A sound like rushing wind fills the chamber, though we are deep underground. It pours through ducts and pipes, an invisible river of chemicals forced upward into the sky. The processors scream under the strain, their hum turning sharp, metallic, like violins screeching too high. I grip the console to steady myself. The vibration rattles my teeth. Pressure holding? I shout above the roar. Finch scans his tablet, eyes darting. Holding for now. For now. Always those words. They taste like ash. The overhead lights flicker, dimming to the rhythm of the compressors. Shadows leap across the condensation slick walls, jagged and restless. My reflection fragments with each flicker. One moment triumphant scientist, the next pale husk trembling in the dark. The countdown is gone. Deployment has begun. Humidity readings spike across every panel. 51%. 53. The numbers climb as if mocking me. Finch's voice trembles. We have to shut it down. No, I bark. The system compensates. Always compensates. Watch. But the compensators are silent. Moisture clings heavy to my lungs with each breath, sharp as glass shards dragging down my throat. Sweat runs into my eyes, burning, stinging. The vault no longer hums like a machine. It breathes like an animal, labored and wheezing, exhaling hot, damp air that presses against my skin. I repeat the mantra in my head. The formula will hold. It must. Then the alarms begin. Not one, not two, dozens. Panels shriek red across the vault. The processor's hum turns to a howl. Vents rattle as pressure spikes beyond tolerance. Finch grips my arm, fingernails biting through fabric. His eyes are wide, pupils blown black. Dr. Voss, listen to me. The humidity's beyond 55%. The binding coefficients. Don't say it. I snap, tearing my arm free. But I know. God, I know. At 55% ACP, 47 stops binding. The molecules slip through water vapor, inert, powerless. Instead of neutralizing fallout, the formula becomes nothing. No shield. No salvation. Just chemical fog flooding the atmosphere, heavy and wet, pulling oxygen from every breath. The vault trembles harder. Droplets rain from the ceiling, fat and warm, soaking my shoulders, my hair. The air feels thicker, denser, like breathing through a wet cloth. Finch coughs violently, bending double. Each hack echoes, sharp against the roar of the compressors. His tablet clatters to the floor, screen flashing warnings I can't bring myself to read. I stagger toward the containment tanks, hands trailing against the frost-slick steel. My mind claws for numbers, equations, ratios, anything to explain how this could still stabilize. 30% tolerance. 30. Not 3. Not 3. But my grandmother's voice cuts through the static in my skull, sharp as the sting in my lungs. Damp air carries sickness, child. Keep things dry. What if it was 3 all along? The thought unravels me. Equations blur, digits smear in memory, decimal points drift. I see pages of my own handwriting in the margins of sleepless nights. 3 or 30? Did I transpose it? Did exhaustion warp truth into error? My knees weaken. I brace against the tank. Condensation soaks my sleeve, icy against burning skin. Finch grabs my shoulder, shaking me. His voice cracks between coughs. We have to abort, now. Seal the vault. Contain the release before it reaches the surface. Abort. Seal. Words that would doom the city instantly. Fallout would pour over the skyline within hours, unbound, lethal. No, itesp. My throat feels raw, lined with acid. We push forward. It's too late to retreat. If ACP 47 stabilizes at altitude. Altitude? Finch's laugh is a broken thing. There won't be an altitude left to reach. The alarms peak, a chorus of shrill screams. Lights flash red, bathing the vault in bloody glow. I stagger back to the console. My fingers slam against keys, desperate, summoning readouts, simulations, anything that could prove me right. Data streams across the screen, numbers cascading like falling rain. But every column ends the same way, error. Binding coefficients collapse. Oxygen ratios plummet. Humidity tolerance exceeded. The vault is suffocating itself. A deep rumble reverberates from the vents overhead, as if the earth itself is groaning. The pressure readings spike off scale, gauges trembling in their housings. Then comes the hiss, the unmistakable shriek of escaping gas. I whirl toward the source. A hairline crack snakes along one of the pipes, condensation spraying into the air like steam from a dying beast. The hiss grows louder, turning into a scream. Finch staggers back, coughing blood into his hand. It's rupturing. I rush forward, but heat and wet air slam me back. My vision swims with streaks of color, rainbow halos glistening in the fog. The vault is dissolving into a chemical storm, my formula spilling uncontrolled. The processors scream. The lights flicker and die, plunging the vault into darkness. Only the glow of emergency panels remains, casting sickly green halos through the mist. I stumble blindly, hands scraping wet steel, searching for control. My lungs seize, every breath thick and heavy, oxygen stripped from the air. Somewhere in the dark, Finch is still coughing, still alive but fading. His voice comes ragged, half swallowed by static. Voss, it's not working. It was never going to work. I don't answer. Can't. My chest burns as though I've inhaled fire. My formula coats the air itself, pressing into me, clinging to me. A voice rises in my head, not Finch's, not mine, Dr. Meridian, his warning echoing from years past. Assumptions kill. I close my eyes. In the suffocating dark, I see the city above, unaware of the storm building beneath. Families, children, lovers, all breathing easy for now. And I wonder, will they curse my name when the air thickens? Or will they never know the man who sealed their tomb with numbers? The vault is no longer a chamber of science. It is a storm. Fog pours from ruptured pipes, dense and shimmering, alive with rainbow halos where the emergency lights catch it. The processors howl, their tones warped into something animal, wounded. Each vibration shakes my bones. The air tastes like rust and rot, ammonia thick enough to scrape the back of my throat raw. I stumble forward, arms outstretched, fingertips grazing the slick steel walls for orientation. Every surface sweats. The condensation is no longer droplets but streams, rivers running down to pool around my boots. The floor is flooding with water that should not be here. Finch. My voice cracks, swallowed by the storm. A cough answers somewhere in the fog. Wet, ragged, desperate. Here. His voice dissolves into another fit of hacking. I push toward the sound, vision narrowing to green halos blinking in the mist. My hands collide with his shoulders. He's on his knees, clutching his chest, blood flecking his lips. His tablet lies shattered beside him, warning icons glowing through spiderweb cracks. We have to stabilize the pressure, I shout. My throat burns with every syllable. Finch wheezes, eyes wide, glazed with pain. You can't. But I can. I must. I stagger to the console. Its screen swims with static, characters bleeding into one another like ink on wet paper. My ritual takes over, tap, tap, tap on the frame, as though repetition could align the chaos. Data flashes, unreadable, then vanishes altogether. The vault hums harder, each processor grinding against its limits. The vents overhead rattle like dying lungs. The roar builds until it eclipses thought, a mechanical hurricane sealed in steel. And then an impact. A sound like a cannon firing. The far wall erupts in a geyser of vapor, white-hot mist blasting outward. I throw my arms up, but the spray sears my skin, a scalding kiss that raises blisters instantly. I scream, the sound ripped away by the gale. Finch collapses fully, coughing blood onto the concrete. Through the fog, I see movement. Figures, 2, maybe 3 shapes wreathed in hazmat suits, faces hidden behind reflective visors. They move with unsettling calm, stepping through the chaos as if the vault obeys them. Their boots splash through the pooling water, slow and deliberate. My first thought is relief. Help has come. Reinforcements. Oversight. But they do not hurry. They do not shout. They do not reach for controls or extend a hand. They observe. One lifts a device, something like a recorder, its red light blinking steadily. Another scribbles notes on a waterproof slate. The third simply stands, visor reflecting the flashing alarms, watching me struggle against my own storm. A chill cuts deeper than the chemical burn. Who are you? I rasp, staggering toward them. My lungs seize, each breath pulling less oxygen. Help me, help us. The nearest figure tilts their head. The recorder hums. They do nothing. Finch sees them too. His voice is weak, muffled by the blood in his throat. They knew. I whirl back toward him. His body shakes with convulsions, but his eyes fix on the figures with absolute certainty. It's a test, he chokes. We were always the experiment. I shake my head, no, because it cannot be true. I spent years on ACP-47, perfecting it, carrying it like scripture. It was salvation, my life's work, not bait in someone else's study. And yet the suited figures stand motionless, unaffected by alarms, untouched by fear. Observers, judges. The vault screams around us. A deafening crack splits the chamber. One of the containment tanks buckles inward with a groan like metal mourning its own death. Frost splinters, shards scattering across the wet floor like broken glass. The liquid inside surges through ruptured seams, silver ribbons spilling into the storm. I stagger back, hands shielding my face as vapor explodes outward. The fog glows now, luminescent, shimmering in greens and purples as though the very molecules dance with light. My formula, free and uncontrolled, turning the vault into a prism of poison. Every breath scalds. My chest feels crushed, lungs ballooning against air that no longer carries oxygen. My vision blurs at the edges, colors smearing into one another. Finch collapses completely, his body convulsing once before going still. I fall to my knees beside him, hands shaking as I try to find his pulse. Nothing. My assistant, my shadow through endless calculations, gone in seconds. His eyes remain open, fixed upward, staring not at me, but at the suited figures. Accusation frozen in glassy silence. I stagger to my feet, rage clawing past despair. My voice breaks against the roar. Why won't you help us? The observers do not answer. One raises their recorder higher. Another scribbles. The third tilts their head again, watching as though I am a rat in a cage. And perhaps I am. My body rebels. Knees buckle, chest seizes. I collapse against the console, vision tunneling. The storm screams louder, every sound amplified until silence would be a mercy. In the blur of fading consciousness, I think of Dr. Meridian again. They said his vault failed by malfunction. But what if it wasn't malfunction at all? What if he too was observed? What if every failure was a study, every death a data point? The vault spins. My eyes blur with tears, sweat, blood. My formula coats the air like invisible chains. I cough until my throat tears raw, but still I whisper. It was never meant to fail. The figures remain silent, watching. And then, sudden as a breath held too long, the vault quiets. The processors still hum, but lower now, steady like the storm has paused. The fog thins, settling in waves. For the first time since deployment, I can hear my own heartbeat hammering in my chest. The observers remain where they stand, statues in hazmat armor. The eye of the storm, and I am trapped in its center. The storm holds its breath. Mist hangs in suspension, glowing faintly in emergency light. The processors hum at a lower pitch, steady, like a giant settling after thrashing. My body trembles with exhaustion. My lungs rasp as though each inhale scrapes with broken glass. Finch's body lies still, curled where collapse took him. His glasses glint in the damp light, cracked, catching red reflection from warning panels. The observers remain where they are, three shadows in hazmat armor, reflective visors mirroring the carnage. They do not approach Finch. They do not touch the controls. They only watch me. I stagger upright, leaning on the console. My reflection swims in the fogged glass of the emergency panel. Hollow eyes, lips cracked, sweat dripping down my neck. The condensation streaks make me look fractured, splintered into pieces. Perhaps that is what I am. You knew, I rasp. My voice is thin, almost lost in the processor's drone. This wasn't a deployment. It was a trial. The nearest figure tilts their head, as though acknowledging without words. The red light on their recorder blinks steadily. A pulse. A heartbeat not my own. I take a step toward them, boots sloshing in pooled water. How many before me? My throat burns. How many scientists? How many vaults? No answer. Only the scratching of stylus against waterproof slate. Meridian, I whisper, the name slipping past cracked lips. Vault 3 wasn't a malfunction, was it? It was the same. Exactly this. The figure pauses in their writing, then resumes. My knees weaken, but rage forces me forward. I slam my fists against the glass barrier separating their observation alcove from my control space. The sound reverberates, hollow, pathetic. You turned my life into an equation. I shout, spittle mixing with condensation. Years, decades of work. You fed my arrogance, praised my certainty, knowing I would stumble where you needed me to. I wasn't solving anything, I was performing. You wanted me to fail. The figures stand silent, unmoved. My words scatter like droplets against steel. Finch's corpse stares at them too, eyes glazed, accusing in death where I cannot in life. I feel his judgment heavy on me, heavier than the air itself. My breath grows thinner, chest tightening. The vault's oxygen has dropped. My head swims with dizziness, thoughts fragmenting into numbers and shapes. I see equations trailing like smoke through the fog. 3% versus 30, decimals shifting like mirages. 3 or 30. The truth twists with each memory. Did I know once? Or was it always planted, seeded, inevitable? I sink against the console, palms flat on damp steel. I would have fixed it, I murmur, voice cracking. If you'd given me time, if you'd told me the truth. The recorder blinks. Unfeeling. Unblinking. Suddenly, the vault roars again. A secondary release sequence triggers, compressors jerking to life with metallic thunder. The fog thickens, luminous, swallowing the observers in its glow. I stagger back, coughing, arms raised. My formula spills faster now, hissing from ruptured pipes. Vapor rolls across the floor, drowning Finch's body, climbing my legs. The liquid coats skin like oil, seeping through fabric, clinging with icy heat. The observers do not move. They stand still, 3 statues in the chaos, their presence almost more terrifying than the storm itself. I realize then, they are not here to help or to interfere. They are here to measure the point of collapse, to record how long until lungs fail, how quickly desperation erodes reason. A human experiment, wrapped in the illusion of salvation. I try to scream, but only a ragged whisper escapes. We were never saving the city. No one answers. I lunge for the console, desperate, half-blind. My hands slam into keys, slipping on moisture. I search for abort commands, overrides, fail-safes, but each line of code rejects me. Access denied. Override locked. They sealed the system. From the beginning, my formula never controlled the dispersal. My keys were never mine. A sob tears through me, raw and broken. I slam the console until my knuckles split, blood mixing with condensation. Why? My voice fractures. Why let me believe? The figures remain silent. Their recorders blink. Because belief was the point. The vault groans, metal straining like bones under too much weight. Pipes rupture in chorus, spraying arcs of vapor. The floor is a shallow lake, glowing faintly, rippling with every tremor. My boots slip as I stagger back, lungs burning. My vision narrows to tunnel, edges black, center a kaleidoscope of fog and flickering light. Through it all, Finch's body floats in the rising pool, arms spread, face tilted upward. He looks almost peaceful now, his mouth parted in a silent curse. I fall to my knees beside him, choking. The fog curls around me, pressing heavy, clinging like damp wool. My breath rattles, each inhale thinner, weaker. The observers finally move. Not toward me, but toward the exit hatch at the far side of the vault. Their boots splash deliberately steady. One last look back, their visors reflecting my kneeling figure, broken, small. Then they pass through the hatch. It seals behind them with a metallic hiss, locking me inside my own storm. I collapse forward, forehead against cold steel. My chest seizes. Vision flickers. The roar of processors fades to a muffled hum, as though distance stretches between me and the world. Still, I whisper, barely breath. It was meant to save them. The fog answers with silence. The vault is no longer a laboratory. It is a coffin, and I am its occupant. The storm exhales. The vault settles into a hollow quiet, the kind that follows collapse. The processors still hum, but their rage has softened, dulled into a low drone that vibrates in the damp air. The fog hangs heavy, motionless now, as if waiting for its prey to stop twitching. I lie on the wet floor, cheek pressed to cold steel, chest rising shallow. Each breath is thin, ragged, a battle between will and suffocation. Finch floats beside me in the pooling water, his coat darkened, eyes open and unblinking. The storm claimed him quickly. It is patient with me. I push myself upright, arms trembling, palms slipping in the condensation. My head swims, vision fractured by drifting halos of light. It feels as though I have surfaced from drowning, only to find the air itself is another ocean pressing down. The silence frightens me more than the alarms. I stagger through the fog. The vault stretches longer now, distorted by haze and exhaustion. Shapes emerge and vanish, tanks, consoles, pipes, like ruins glimpsed through floodwater. Each step sends ripples through the shallow pool, each ripple spreading rings of silver light across the walls. And then I see them. Not Finch, not the observers, others. Bodies half hidden in the mist, slumped against processor casings, sprawled across floor grates, curled in fetal silence. Some wear coats like mine, stained with frost and chemical burns. Others are bare skeletons, clothing rotted into threads, bones slick with condensation. One corpse clutches a notebook, pages fused by moisture into unreadable pulp. Another has their hand frozen to a console, flesh fused to steel. I count 6, 7, 9, too many to mistake as coincidence. Meridian was not the first. Neither am I. The realization hollows me. My formula, my pride, my salvation. It was only the latest variation of a repeating design. Vault after vault, scientist after scientist, each lured by the promise of control, each broken by the same storm. We weren't inventors. We were iterations. I fall against the wall, forehead pressed to cold metal. Water drips from overhead, running down my hair, stinging my eyes. The vault weeps, and I weep with it, silent sobs swallowed by the fog. I want to scream, to curse the nameless architects watching from behind glass, but my lungs cannot afford the waste. Every breath is a precious fraction of life. So I whisper instead, how many of us did you need? The silence answers, heavy and unbroken. The fog shifts, parted by vibration. From above comes a deep, rhythmic thrum, the chop of rotor blades. A helicopter, somewhere far above the vault. The sound filters down through soil and steel, a distant heartbeat in the sky. For a moment, hope sparks. Rescue? Reinforcement? But no. I remember the observers. The way they left. The way they recorded. This is not salvation. This is sanitation. They will sweep the city, not to save, but to erase. Seal the tomb they built, scrub the experiment clean. My body finches the corpses of those before us, all folded into silence. The helicopter's thrum grows louder, circling, patient as vultures. I force myself forward, deeper into the vault. My body aches, every joint heavy, but motion feels necessary. Stillness means surrender. I find another cluster of corpses near the secondary compressors. Their equipment is older, rusted, marked with designations from decades past. One console still flickers weakly, powered by some forgotten line. On its surface, etched into the grime by a shaking hand, are 3 words. We were seen. I trace the letters with my fingertip. The grooves are shallow, desperate, but permanent. Whoever left them knew. They too recognized the watchers. The vault is a pattern, and patterns repeat until broken. But I am too late to break anything. My body sways, vision darkening at the edges. I collapse against the old console, gasping. Numbers flash across the dying screen. Humidity 58%, oxygen depletion 32%. My formula is still rising through the ducts, flooding the city above. I imagine it now, families stumbling from beds, choking on damp air, children gasping as the sky thickens, lungs filling with water they cannot see. Windows fogging from within, streets drowned not in rain, but in air turned liquid. And my name written in the history that survives, if any survives, as the man who promised salvation and delivered suffocation. The silence deepens. The processors hum like monks chanting a dirge. The helicopter fades into distance. I close my eyes. For a moment, I let myself drift. I imagine the vault dry and clean, my calculations precise, my formula perfect. I imagine stepping into sunlight to see a city alive, grateful, safe. But when I open my eyes, all I see is mist and corpses. The vault is the eye of the storm, and I am its last witness. The vault exhales again, a tired giant settling into silence. The fog lies thick but calm now, the storm's violence muted into steady seepage. My breath rasps shallow, lungs tight, each inhale dragging dampness deeper into me. The processors hum their funeral hymn. I lean against the old console, where I found the words we were seen. The glow from its dying screen flickers weakly, a heartbeat struggling at the edge of death. My reflection trembles in the glass, hollow cheeks, cracked lips, eyes rimmed red. I look like one of the corpses already slumped around me. Perhaps I am. Above, the helicopter returns. Its thrum presses through steel, a constant reminder that someone watches, waiting. They will descend when the vault is quiet, when there are no more movements to record. Cleaners, not rescuers. Archivists of failure. I am data to them. Flesh scribbled into statistics. I drag myself across the wet floor, past Finch's body. His glasses glint in the dim light, one lens cracked, one clear. His eyes remain open, still staring upward, forever accusing. I want to close them, but my hands tremble too violently. I'm sorry, I whisper. My voice barely carries. You were right to doubt. The fog swallows my apology, delivering it nowhere. My legs give out near the containment tanks. I collapse against the steel, cheek pressed to its frozen shell. Frost burns into my skin, numbing the ache. My palms slide across condensation, slick and endless. This is the machine I built my life around. The altar of my worship. ACP-47, Formula of Salvation. Now leaking, drowning, suffocating. I think of my grandmother's warning again. Keep things dry. Such a simple truth. More reliable than any equation. I had numbers, decimals, coefficients, and still I drowned in dampness I refused to see. Pride blinded me. Or perhaps pride was what they wanted. The helicopter circles closer. I hear faint metallic echoes, cargo doors opening, mechanisms shifting. Soon they will lower themselves into the vault in their immaculate suits, boots splashing through what remains of us. They will retrieve the recorders, the notebooks, the final logs. They will not touch the bodies except to move them aside. And they will build another vault, find another scientist. Repeat the cycle. Iterations until they perfect what cannot be perfected. Unless the goal was never perfection at all. My vision narrows. Black creeps at the edges, tunneling the fog into a single narrow beam. I hear my own heartbeat louder than the processor's now, frantic, desperate, slowing. I force myself to the console one last time. Fingers slip across wet keys, leaving streaks of blood. The panel flickers, resisting my touch. But with enough taps, tap, 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 it spits out one final diagnostic. Oxygen, 18%. Humidity, 62%. Binding efficiency, 0%. Numbers stripped of salvation. Cold absolute. My formula has become nothing more than poison. I sink to my knees. The floor water rises around me, glowing faintly in the emergency light. Finch's body drifts, bumping gently against a processor casing with the rhythm of a pendulum. The corpses of the past lean in shadow, silent witnesses to my end. I should feel terror, but exhaustion leaves only resignation. They'll say I failed, I whisper, lips numb. But failure was the design. The processors hum their agreement. Or perhaps it is only my mind, searching for meaning in noise. The helicopter sound deepens. A hatch above grinds open. Cold air floods down, mixing with the fog. Shapes descend, ropes, then boots, then more hazmat suits glistening under harsh lights. I see them only dimly through haze. They move with precision, unhurried, collecting instruments, scanning the vault with devices that hum like insects. One kneels by Finch, placing a recorder near his chest, as if to capture silence. Another scribbles notes. None of them acknowledge me. Not even when my body shudders, my cough sprays red into condensation, my fingers claw weakly at the floor. I am not a man to them. Only data, another point in their ledger. My vision fractures. Lights swim, bending into halos. My ears fill with static. I close my eyes. Numbers spill behind my lids, equations unraveling into nothing. 3%, 30%, decimals drifting like stars collapsing. I understand, finally. Precision means nothing if the purpose was manipulation. The formula was never mine. I was a scribe copying numbers into a book already written. I draw one final breath, shallow, wet, tasting metal. It rattles out of me as words. This was never salvation. Darkness folds in. My last image is of the suit standing tall in the fog, recorders blinking, their lights like red eyes in the tomb. The vault accepts me, and the city above begins to choke.